Alright, here is your title, Proportional Reasoning. It's going to take 2 pages. I'm on 19 and 20. Don't forget that you can pause this at any point, fast forward and rewind. Get that written. Alright, it's also your title on the page, Proportional Reasoning. And I want you to go ahead and get this written as well. It says equivalent fractions just means or equals 2 equal fractions. That's a 4th grade skill that y'all have already done many years ago now. That'd be 3 years ago. Get this written, please. Alright, so let's talk about what equivalent fractions are. It's 2 fractions that are equal. So if we wanted to make equivalent fractions, and starting with a fraction of 4/9, you could multiply that fraction by anything that you wanted to, just as long as you multiply the top and the bottom by the same number. So I'm going to do times 3, the numerator, and times 3, the denominator. So 4 times 3 is 12, and 9 times 3 is 27. Alright, so back in 4th grade, how you would check to see if they are equivalent is you would use cross products or cross multiply. Your teacher probably called it the butterfly method. Okay, so you would just multiply, and if they are the same number, the same value, the same answer, then that means that they are equivalent. So you would do 12 times 9 is 18, 9, 10. So this one is 108 when you cross multiply, and this one you would do 27 times 4. 7 times 4 is 28. 4 times 2 is 8, 9, 10. That is also 108. So that means that they are indeed 2 equivalent fractions. Okay, so we made equivalent fractions and we checked it by using cross multiplication or cross product. Alright, so let's go over here, and now we just want to check and see if these are equivalent fractions. Okay, I know you're thinking, I thought we were talking about proportions. Well, fractions and proportions are quite similar, or fractions and ratios are quite similar. Okay, so you would just cross product or cross multiply. You can say butterfly in your head if you want to. But do 30 times 12. 2 times 30 is 60. Placeholder, 1 times 30 is 30. Add those up, that would be 360. And then 40 times 9. Well, 9 times 0 is 0, and 9 times 4 is 36. So that would be 360. Okay, so that was 2 fractions that you have seen many, many times before, and we created an equivalent fraction and checked to see if the ones on the right were equivalent. Okay, call it the butterfly method if you want to. So now we're going to talk about proportions and what they are. So proportions are just 2 equal ratios, which is a 7th grade skill. Okay, notice I wrote the exact same things. 4 to 9, because that's how we say ratios. 4 to 9 equals something. We need to create an equivalent ratio. Pause this and write that if you need to. So to create an equivalent ratio, we could multiply it by 2 if we wanted. The bottom value and the top value, and 4 times 2 is 8, and 9 times 2 is 18. So how do we check that? We just cross product, or butterfly if you want to call it that. I don't want to. 9 times 8. 9 times 8 is 72. And 18 times 4. 4 times 8 is 32. 4 times 1 is 4, plus the 3 is 7. 72. So those are equivalent ratios, meaning that is proportional. Okay? And you would do the same thing over here. To check and see, you would cross product cross product, do 30 times 12. 30 times 12. 2 times 30 is 60. Placeholder 1 times 30 is 30. 360. Okay, and then 40 times 9 over here. 9 and 4 is, or excuse me, 9 and 0 is 0. 9 and 4 is 36. That one is also 360. That means that is proportional because those two ratios are equivalent. So far, so good. Alright, so let's look at these proportions down on the bottom. You probably recognize the numbers. So how do you solve a proportion? Anytime that you get a proportion problem, you're going to be given 3 things. You only have to find 1. Okay? If every question gave you 3 out of 4 things, that would be fantastic, but they normally don't. So proportions that give you 3 items, you only have to find 1 thing. Okay, and so how do you do that? Well, think back to how we found out if they were equivalent. Okay, so proportional means things that are equal in size, equal in not so much size, but proportionally equal. So if I were to draw this right here, does that person look proportional? No, doesn't look proportional. It's incredibly tall and has a ridiculously tiny head, right? Not proportional. There's just something off about that person. What about this one? There's something wrong with that one too. It's just really short and has a huge, huge head, right? Okay, something that would be proportional is, I'm not a fantastic drawer, as you can tell, but everything looks to be about the correct size on that little person, right? The head kind of matches the size of the body and all that stuff. His head may be a little bit large, but that's because I'm a terrible drawer. Okay? So proportional means 2 things that are equal but may be of different size. So what would be proportional to this guy? None of these, right? Not proportional, not proportional. Something that could be proportional could be a little bit smaller or a little bit larger, but almost like it's just kind of shrunk a little bit, but still proportional. Okay? That is what to be proportional means. Maybe a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit larger, but they were either magnified or shrunk by the same amount. Okay? So, how do you solve a proportion? So let's think back to what we did before. We cross multiplied, right? Change that color. Cross multiplied or cross product. So we would do 18 times 4. 4 times 8 is 32. I should know this already. 4 times 1 plus 3 is 70. So this is 72. Okay? And then if we cross multiplied 9 times x, that would be 9x. 9x. So 72 equals 9x. Well, what does 9x mean? You have to remember back to algebra from last year. 9x just means 9 times a number. We don't know what number. Okay? It could be written like back in elementary school. You may get something like 72 equals 9 times what? Okay, that's all that it means. That box is the same thing that you did back in elementary school. 9 times what equals 72. Okay, so what can we do? I need to move that because it's kind of in my way. I just wanted to give you another example. I'll move that. So you already know 9 times what equals 72, or you could do 72 divided by 9, right? So we could divide both sides by 9. Divide both sides by 9. Over here, 9 divided by 9 is 1, so you only have x left, and 72 divided by 9 is 8. So if we double check up top, x should equal 8. Like this guy right here. Okay? So you just cross product and divide. You multiply what you can and divide by the other number. Okay? So let's look at this. Multiply what you can. Okay? Can we multiply 40 times a? You can. Your answer would just be 40a. So what can you actually multiply? 30 times 12. And then what do you have left? 40. So we're going to do 30 times 12. 2 times 30 is 60. Placeholder. 30. Add those up. 360. So this equals 360. And then divide by the number that you have left, the number that nothing has happened to. And that is 40, right? So you would do 360 divided by 40. Not very fun division, but we can estimate, instead of having those zeros, 4 goes into 36 9 times, right? 9 times 4 is 36. So it is 9. So that means that A would equal 9. Remember at the beginning of the year I said we would be doing a lot of substitution in 7th grade. That's exactly what this is. You would take that A out, and 9 would go in there. And 40 times 9 would equal 360. Okay? So they're not all nice and easy like this, though. Sometimes you're going to get decimals. You may even get a fraction. Okay, so let's do some more difficult ones. Alright, here are 4 of them from one of your assignments. Okay, so solve the proportion round to the nearest tenth. That's because there's decimals later in this problem. So what can we multiply in letter H? We could multiply 7 times n, but not really, because you just get 7n, right? So instead we can multiply 12 times 4 and then just divide by what's left. Divide by 7. So 12 times 4 is what? 48. 48. And then just divide by the extra number, which is 7. 48 divided by 7. Well, 7 times 7 is 49, so that would be a 6. It's got to be less. It's 42. Subtract. 6 left over. Put a decimal in. A 0. It said round to the nearest tenth. 7 goes into 60. What is it? 8 times? That's 56. Subtract, we have 4, add another 0, and 7 goes into 40. 7 times 4, 7 times 5, 5 times. Okay, so n would equal 6.85, or 6 85/100ths. Okay, so go to letter A. Going to multiply what you can, divide by the number that's left. 9 times 15, well 9 times 10 is 90. 9 times 5 is 45, so 9 times 15 is 135. So now just divide by that extra number. 135 divided by 2. 2 goes into 13 6 times. It's 12. Subtract. Bring down that 5. 2 goes into 15, 7 times? It's 14. Subtract. Put a decimal. 0. And 2 goes into 10, 5 times. So that means x equals 67.5. Okay, I'm going to keep rocking and rolling here. Alright, here we go. Letter N. Multiply what you can. 23 times 8. Divide by that extra number. 23 times 8. I'm running out of time on my screen here, sorry. Times 3 is 24. 16, 17, 18. 184. So now we have to do 184 divided by 30. You are going to have to finish this on your own. Okay. Letter Y. Multiply what you can. Divide by that third number. Okay, so you have 16 times 11, and then just divide that by 5. I'm going to make another video though, so it'll get you some more help on another assignment, word problems.